calling all sports fans and athletes. Have you ever longed for a place to converse about your passion for sports? Hang out, talk sports, meet athletes, and be heard. Sports Chat TV. And here's your host, Brooke Brown.
Welcome to Sports Chat TV, everybody. It's on a new night, Thursday. It's been a little hectic, been a little busy. But we're here and coming to you live in your stream and on YouTube. And it's great to be back. As you see, I have a guest here who wants to talk some sports with me. We're going to go over a little bit of the gamut of sports headlines. That's why it's called a wild card show, and this is the second one we've had. So, I would like to introduce my guest, Dre, and he's going to introduce himself and his familiarity with sports and why he has joined Sports Chat TV. Welcome, Dre.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. My name is Dre Clark, a.k.a. Dre, a.k.a. Philly sports guy, a.k.a. Eagles maniac, a.k.a. sports enthusiast with anything attached to Philadelphia. However, I'm just a general sports enthusiast. I just look forward to talking to everybody tonight, seeing there's a lot of things going on in the sports world. I mean, we have Serena Williams returning to a level of excellence that we haven't seen in a while. Recently, we've seen Tiger Woods doing his thing. Some interesting blockbuster trades in the NBA going on. Major League Baseball is heating up beautifully. So there's a lot of things to talk about right now. I just look forward to chatting with everybody and seeing what your thoughts are about some of these things that are going on in the sports world.
Well, let's start with that.
I'd also like to give a shout out to everybody on Twitter.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Let's start with that, actually, as we talked about in the pre-show, like about the new acquisitions and trades going on right now in the NBA postseason. The biggest one, I think, the biggest one on the news right now is Steve Nash now becoming a LA Laker. So, first of all, before we get to the other trades, which seem to be overshadowed by this one, how are your thoughts on the trade from Phoenix and LA?
First of all, let me say I'm a huge Steve Nash fan. I just think it's too little, too late. You know, maybe if this trade happened 5 years ago, I'd be excited about it. It doesn't help that I hate the Lakers.
Yeah.
But putting that aside, if it happened 5 years ago,
yeah,
we had a Steve Nash in his early 30s, maybe, with a younger Kobe. We'd be talking about something that might shake up the Western Conference. But I just think that the Oklahoma City Thunder have shown that there's been a change of the guard in the Western Conference. The way they manhandled the Spurs, the way they smacked around the entire Western Conference. The only thing that's going to beat them is youth, energy, and athleticism. And that's why they had a difficult time with the Miami Heat. I mean, the Miami Heat just made them roll over. I don't get that. After one game, which they won, the Miami Heat just made them roll over. I don't see these aging teams, the LA Lakers of the world, the San Antonio Spurs of the world. Their window of opportunity has closed, and you can't, try to keep the window open by inserting a 37, 38?
At least 38. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not hating on veterans and old school players, but, I mean, it's turning into – the athleticism is just so crazy these days. I mean, you have point guards who – a guy like Russell Westbrook. Is he a point guard? What is he?
I don't know. And when he turns it on in a game like he did in the playoffs, him and Kevin Durant, it was just like, what am I watching here, a clinic?
Exactly.
And these are the young guys. These are not the ones that we've been watching for 10, 12 more years. So
I want you to consider something for a second. Kevin Durant, 23 years old. Did you hear what I said? 23 years old. 3-time scoring champion.
Exactly.
This is what the league has come to. The beard, hard. What's he, 22?
Yeah.
Westbrook, 22 maybe? 3? Maybe?
Yeah. They're all very young.
I mean, I think it's asking a lot to ask a guy like Steve Nash to stay in front of Russell Westbrook, to stay in front of Rajon Rondo. This is what the league has come to, you know.
Speaking of that, in other trades that might affect how the season will go is right now there's big rumors that Ray Allen is going to be heading to Miami. And as a Celtics fan, I knew the big three had to break up, but really, Miami? Like, he could go, besides the Lakers, anywhere else. I mean, I don't think, you think he'll make the decision to stay in Miami, or will he be like,
Miami?
Yeah, go to Miami and not stay in Boston, but...
Well, I think it's just smoke and mirrors. I mean, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Rondo, these guys have been to hell and back with one another. And it's one thing to, I mean, Ray Allen has a championship. He's had a couple of championships, right? For him to, I mean, I think it would be the ultimate slap in the face for him to go to Miami. I just don't see it happening. It's not going to happen. Mark my words. However, if it does happen, I just think that Miami's going to be, as much as I hate to say it, they're going to be virtually unstoppable. I mean, Ray Allen that you saw in the playoffs this year, I mean, he's human, okay? You put him on a team with D. Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh.
Yeah, I know. It just
he's gonna have nothing but open looks. Nothing but open looks. You know, I mean, you put him in a situation where he's just a spot-up shooter.
Yeah.
Ray Allen. I mean,
especially
Mike Miller
from his spot in the corner. You know.
Right, and it's gonna be there for him all season long. So, if he does go to the Miami Heat, I think that's gonna be. It's just gonna spell trouble not only for the Eastern Conference but for the NBA.
So we'll have to see how his decision down the road. Another news, Jason Kidd has decided to end his career where it began in Dallas. Mark Cuban secured Jason Kidd. I think that's awesome because I'm a huge Jason Kidd fan. And I'm glad he has a championship now after winning last year, along with wishing, Steve Nash could get one. So I think that's great. Do you think that's a good move on Mark Cuban's part to keep keep Kidd on the team?
Well, I'm going to tell you what's crazy. I don't know if my information is just not timely or as timely as it should be, but the last thing I've heard is, and I'm actually looking at ESPN.com right now, is that Jason Kidd has done a complete reversal in the last hour and is now joining the New York Knickerbockers. That's the
Wow, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that in the last hour. The last I heard was that he was on his way to staying in Dallas.
Yeah, and I heard the same thing. But that's crazy.
A lot of rumors of where they're going right now. All right. Well, and like you mentioned also in your intro, let's talk a little bit about Wimbledon and how Serena Williams is back to dominating again.
Mm-hmm.
As we count down the end of Wimbledon, which has been a great tournament with a lot of upsets, which is like Nadal out early, Roddick out early. So in terms of your predictions, Serena is going to. Do you believe that Serena is going to win this? And then on the men's side, do you think that Djokovic will beat Federer, or what are your thoughts on Wimbledon as a whole in terms of the game of tennis?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have to go with, in a final situation, in a championship match situation, I'm going to have to go with Serena. It just seems like she's gotten her swag back. It seems like, she's playing some of the best tennis I've seen her play in the last couple of years. So I'm going to go with Serena in the women's side. On the men's side, you got to go with Federer. He's been there before. Djokovic I believe he's the defending champion. But he just doesn't have the experience that I think that is going to be able to prevent a guy like Federer from winning the championship. Maybe if it was a preliminary round, a preliminary match, possibly, but in the championship situation, I got to go with Federer. I'm gonna go with the big guns, Federer and Serena.
Okay.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, like, I don't completely disagree. I believe Serena's got it handled on the women's side, just by the way her first serve percentage has just been really well throughout the entire tournament. But in terms on the men's side, I do believe that Djokovic has a chance, considering the great matches between him and Nadal last year in Wimbledon. Yeah, and in the U.S. Open. So we'll have to. I think it'll be a great match, and whoever wins will have deserved to win.
Right.
Because I mean, the forehand winners that Federer can, get in a match when you think he's, slowly he had just done a few unforced errors is unbelievable. But then again, Djokovic can do the same in terms of turning it on and off. So I think it'll just be a great match, and whoever wins. But, I mean, now that Nadal was out early, it's going to be interesting to see this match and see how it turns out on that side.
Let me ask you this. How many more years do you see, if you see years, how much more time do you see Federer playing at the level that he's playing?
Personally, I think he may have 3 more years. And I say may loosely because it's not right now, some say he's one of the best tennis players of all time, and I can't disagree with that in terms of the matches he's won, Grand Slams he's won, and just with such ease he's done over the years, such ease and grace. So, but at the same time, I mean, he's getting older, and he's now starting to reap in some, injuries.
Right.
So, how far can his body take him in terms of wanting to keep the hunger when he's already won so much already? And there's a lot of these younger guys coming up that are, improving. And
well, it comes down to the mojo of a champion. At what point does a champion say, "Hey, I'm not hungry anymore"? I think the hunger, I don't know. I just think Federer is one of the most underrated, which sounds crazy because he is considered one of the greatest. But I think when he's gone, and you look back at his body of work, or we look back at his body of work, we're going to realize that. I mean, is he a top? What do you call him? Is he a top 5 all time? Male?
I would have to maybe top 10. I mean,
wow.
I would
give me 9 ahead of him.
I say you have Connors, Agassi, Sampras, McEnroe.
McEnroe?
Yeah.
Okay, this is your list. Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'd top 6 if you go there. I mean,
it would be tough to name 10 guys better than Roger Federer. Clearly better.
Yeah, but the game has so much, in another end, just like we were talking about how the game had changed in basketball and in the NBA, it's changed a lot in tennis, too, in terms of the ability to volley, the intensity and velocity of a serve, as well as, just the overall, ability to, whether they stay at the baseline or whether they move in. I mean, there's been a lot of factors on all the surfaces. I'm talking grass court, clay, and on hard court that has changed since some of these players that we've named in the past played, which is, not to mention the equipment has changed. I mean, rackets are a lot lighter now than they used to be. The balls are made with less, mass. So, I mean, it's all relative, but in terms of overall skill and athleticism, yeah, Roger's got to be up there because he wouldn't have won as many as he has right now. So. Right.
Yeah, I mean, all things being equal, you have to consider that. I mean, any of the sports, just the progression of the technology, the training, the preparation. I just think all things being equal, that he's a top 10 guy, undoubtedly. Top 5, arguably.
Yeah.
You know, but I just think that as time goes by and you look at his body of work, people are going to tend to place him closer to the front of the pack than the back of the pack. This is my opinion.
All right. Well, as we're kind of wildly going through all the headlines,
Okay.
now we've talked a little bit of Wimbledon. Next up, what are your thoughts? Have you been following kind of what's going on with the NHL or at all? Just like that they might have a lockout coming up.
Well, I know that the players and the owners are supposed to be meeting about a collective bargaining agreement. I'm not privy to the details of it. Can you shine some light on that for me?
Well, I've seen a lot of trades in the last week and a half, which is funny considering that seems to be a little bit disagreement between the league and the Players Association. So
Right.
I don't know the specific details on exactly what's going on within the agreement and whether they have decided to lock out like the NBA and the NFL did. But
Right.
they also seem to be different from the other leagues. They also seem to be wary of locking out, which is good because a lockout can potentially hurt the league, specifically for the NHL, considering this year that they had a lot more viewers than in past years for the Stanley Cup Finals and the playoffs in general because of the NBC Sports Network. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know exactly what their decision is yet. I've just been reading some headlines about certain players moving around as we speak. So.
Yeah. Well, basically, I know they met for almost 3 hours today, and they got to hammer out something with the CBA. I think the CBA expires sometime in like mid-September. But it seems like they're at least cordial. Both sides want to come to some type of agreement that both of them can live with. So I think the NHL is going to be okay. I think the likelihood of a lockout I don't think the lockout is likely to happen. Seems like their meetings are pretty constructive. They've only had 2, but I think their meetings have been pretty constructive based on what I've read. And then also, like you said, I mean, with it coming on the heels of it had to be one of the highest rated postseasons that have been. I haven't seen the ratings, but the postseason was definitely one of the most. Had to be one of the highest rated postseasons in a while, if not ever. So it would be a shame for them to lock out right now. They're probably at the height of their popularity.
Agreed.
I mean, a lot of people that really don't follow hockey at all. I know I've gotten into hockey conversations with them during this past postseason. They were just excited. I'm a Philadelphia guy, so anytime the Flyers are in the mix of things, I get excited about it. But I met a couple people, some Jersey guys, and just people that were pretty excited about the NHL, and I just don't recall people in recent history being that excited about it.
I agree. A lot of bandwagon. Not to say that can kind of be a negative thing, but I'm just saying in terms of the overall season and then the playoffs, it was like all of a sudden everybody was paying attention to hockey, which I hadn't seen in recent years. So.
Right. I agree.
Cool. So as I want to keep moving along, because there's a lot of trade and stuff going on. It's the summer. Another headline today that I read is that the NFL Players Association is suing Roger Goodell right now. So there's some more drama between the Players Association and the NFL right now, which,
right.
I mean, there's no talks of a lockout, but it's just like, what can be done in the NFL in terms of the players? Because not to bring this up, but I know the Players Association is on here on Google Plus, so I've seen some posts and how they're trying to strive to keep players safe, and I've talked to George Atalo, who is the head of the Players Association. So I've heard that they're working, but they want to work with the league, and for some reason, what seems to be the holdup from Goodell in terms of moving forward in good strides?
I don't know. I mean, I just think the morale in the league, the morale's pretty. I mean, the morale's probably at a lower than I've seen it in a long time. I mean, you talk about Goodell's. he seems he's one of these guys that wants to kind of rule with an iron fist, and players don't like that. I mean, when you talk about the bounties in New Orleans, the bounty situation in New Orleans, and he just doesn't seem to have the type of relationship with the players that would create an environment or foster an environment where both sides feel like the other side respects their best interests. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if what's going on with Goodell right now is just a culmination of many different factors that has just all come to a head, and the taste in the mouth of the players is such where they're not willing to work with Goodell, and it's like two kids at the playground, and one of them, it's my ball, and we're gonna play the way I say because it's my ball. I get the impression that Goodell and the players have that type of relationship. The mutual respect that needs to be there just isn't there.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. There's just something, suspect going on, but I hope everything gets ironed out before the season because I want football again. I don't want a lockout because considering the lockout was already in force at this time last year and then we ended it right before the season.
Right.
I just don't want to keep seeing some lockouts. I mean, it'll turn away fans. Me as a huge sports enthusiast, not having a season is kind of sad, and so hopefully everything will be ironed out. Not to be pun, but yeah,
Well, when you talk about, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, when you talk about the NFL Players Association, basically they have their three main arguments are A, the NFL has violated the collective bargaining agreement by refusing to provide players with access to documents and critical documents and witnesses when you talk about the quote-unquote bounty situation. Okay? That's their first major point that they have a problem with. Number two, the Players Association believes that Goodell launched a public relations campaign defending the punishments he intended to arbitrate, rendering him incurably and evidently biased. Again, so it goes back to that. He's not really interested in justice. He just wants to rule with an iron fist. That's what I get out of that. And then number three, Goodell lacked proper jurisdiction to rule on the case. As the system administrator, has exclusive jurisdiction to arbitrate the pay-for-performance conduct. So, again, it just boils down to Goodell ruling with an iron fist, and the players just feeling like he just kind of does whatever he wants and doesn't take into consideration the collective bargaining agreement and just overrides the portions of the collective bargaining agreement that he doesn't like. So somebody's going to have to, it's going to have to give one way or another. Somebody's going to have to bend, and Goodell doesn't look like he wants to bend, and the Players Association looks like they're going to take a strong stance too. So, I mean, a lockout very well may happen. Somebody's going to have to back off. I just don't see who it's going to be.
Well, we've run the gamut of recent sports headlines. A future episode, actually, I've had some requests from you fans out there. I know we had a viewer a minute ago and you dropped out. Why? Are we that boring? Anyway, about the 2014 college football new playoff. I know we haven't talked about it here in this episode, but there's going to be a whole new future episode. So anybody who wants to participate, Dre, you're in on it if you want to talk about what you feel about the college football. And a lot of others, be looking on sportschat.tv for info on when I'm going to go live about that. But I would like to thank you, Dre, for joining me. I'd like to thank those who stopped by for even 2 seconds to watch this and those who will watch this in the future on demand. And be sure to, if you have any requests, comments, anything you would like to do to make your experience on sportschat.tv better, or what I can do to help you in terms of anything sports related, just let me know. And it's been an awesome another episode, and again, thank you, Dre, for joining me tonight, and have a great evening.
One last thing before you go. I'd be remiss if on July 5th we don't at least mention Chanel Sonnen and Anderson Silva's upcoming MMA fight. The next time we air, it will have happened.
Yes.
Prediction? Do you have a prediction on that?
Silva, hands down, in about 5 rounds. That's my prediction.
Submission?
Silva's just too fierce. He's just too fierce. Okay. He has that hunger.
Well, you know what? I think Silva's probably the most prolific MMA fighter in the game today. However, I was watching Sonnen Silva 1, and if anybody has the style to get past, I mean, Sonnen basically beat Silva for the entire fight minus the last 30 seconds of the fight, which just shocked me. It kind of put me in the same frame of mind as when Mike Tyson lost for the first time, and I just couldn't believe that I was seeing that. And then also right now what you see is Anderson Silva being taken completely out of his character. I mean, you've seen guys talk a lot of trash to Anderson Silva, and he doesn't respond to it. For some reason, Chanel Sonnen has been able to get under his skin, and Silva's all over the press talking about what he's going to do and how he's going to hurt Sonnen, which is completely out of character for him. So I'm just wondering whether he's going to be able to maintain the professionalism that he's had up to this point, and have the ability to stick to his game plan to get past this guy. That being said, I'm going to go with Anderson Silva by submission in 3 rounds. 3
rounds.
3 rounds.
Okay. Well, the next time she'll meet, we'll go over how the fight went.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, have a good night, Dre, and I, again, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you all next time. And this will be up as soon as possible. Good night.
Good night.